Though shaken by this attempt on her life, the Queen was still reluctant to attack King's Landing. Munchen says this was because of her horror of kinslaying. Septon Eustace claims Rhaenyra had a mother's heart that made her reluctant to risk the lives of her remaining sons. Mushroom alone was present for these councils, however, and the Fool insists that Rhaenyra was still so grief-sick over the death of her son Lucerys that she absented herself from the War Council, giving over her command to the Sea Snake and his wife, Princess Rhaenys. This is the extent to which the book goes to explain Rhaenyra's inaction. Mushroom's depiction was true for the first episode and led to the Septon's claim for the later episodes. Munchen's account, however, must be attributed to Rhaenys, but there's no mention of a journey to King's Landing or a conversation with Alicent. That's an invention of the show. So there is not too much to say about what happened in the book because it's vastly different. So let's get straight to the show. First of all, the show has done a lot of work to justify Rhaenyra's inaction. In her mind, she is the protector of the realm and she can't allow the realm to be torn apart in a brutal civil war for the sake of its people. Then there's the prophecy of Ice and Fire, which says that there must be a strong Targaryen ruler on the Iron Throne of a strong realm. And perhaps most importantly, she has already lost 2 of her children in the war. And I want to give the actress credit. She really sells the caring and loving mother to me. After her initial desire for revenge and the horror that followed, she is careful to restrain herself and do what she believes is the best for the realm. Ironically, it is Rhaenyra's hesitation and Rhaenys' council of hesitation that could lead to thousands upon thousands of deaf people. And that gives us, the fans, the opportunity to debate the morality of their actions. The nature of choosing the lesser of 2 evils, whether truly evil acts can be justified for the greater good. But how the scene between Rhaenyra and Alicent came about is what I take issue with. Rhaenyra's journey to King's Landing is facilitated by the White Worm, and that's only possible because Rhaenyra trusts her now, which is only the case because the worm stumbled upon Sir Eric and warned the Blacks in the last episode, which was made possible because Rhaenyra trusted her enough to set her free with little to no reason when she had plenty of reasons to keep her locked up. The whole chain of events leading up to Rhaenyra's conversation with Alicent is basically a house of cards that could have collapsed at any point. And now for the plan itself. For Rhaenyra to go to King's Landing is just pure insanity. I'm sure everyone thought the same when they were watching. It was certainly on my mind as I watched. It's not that it's impossible to get here into the city or even to Alicent. I can buy that. But let's just think a second about the insane risk involved into the journey. Someone could find out about the plan and betray her. She could be discovered on the way. Alicent could simply hand her over to her own son. Rhaenyra is willing to take those risks, in part to ensure the survival of her children. But this journey might just condemn them to their death. If Rhaenyra is gone, the Blacks are gone. They have no one else to rally around. But her children still pose a potential threat to the throne in the future. They would be killed. I don't think the journey itself is impossible. There's a reasonable chance she won't be spotted on her way through the city, but it feels like the show is trivializing the distance between King's Landing and Dragonstone. They're pretty close together, a couple of hours on Dragonback, but it's going to take a lot longer on the boat. So it's not something she can hide from her council, who are already unhappy with her leadership and would never agree to this plan. For the next episode, I expect some drama for when she returns. For one thing, her advisors should be furious if she kept them in the dark. And if she hasn't, I have even more questions about the last episode. Perhaps some hasty decisions are being made in her absence, and she will take the blame for the lack of her leadership. And how I will judge the episode and the journey to King's Landing will depend in a large part on those consequences. As for the conversation itself, it's clearly a situation in which Rhaenyra isn't comfortable, hence her poor start to the conversation, as she admits. But as you would expect, all the important issues are brought up. They accuse and defend each other of their various crimes and wrongdoings. That's the theme of the episode in particular, It doesn't matter who started it all. It doesn't matter when it started. Rhaenys made that point early on in the episode. Different people will have different answers to those questions. What matters to Rhaenyra in this situation is stopping the war. During their exchange, they also discussed Aegon's coronation, and Alicent's claim that Viserys named him as his heir. And slowly but surely, after not having the slightest idea what Rhaenyra is talking about, the penny drops for her. He was talking about Aegon the Conqueror, not his son. I love Alicent's reaction to this. Aegon the Conqueror. Oh shit. She didn't say the last part. I'm glad Alicent finally realizes Viserys didn't change his mind. She just heard what she wanted to hear. And now she has to come to terms with the fact that she was wrong and that she aided the usurpation of the throne. No one believed her anyway. But now she can no longer justify it to herself. At the same time, she also knows that in the end it wouldn't have mattered either way. The plans to make Aegon king were made a long time ago. Even if she wanted to, she couldn't have stopped it. She now makes it clear to Rhaenyra that her efforts are in vain. But in the light of this revelation, and because Alicent still cares for Rhaenyra, she lets her go. Another chance to stop the bloodshed missed for a noble reason. But a reason I can believe. Now they part ways in the knowledge that the wheels of war are turning. There is no hope for peace. There is no holding back. The war has begun.